Welcome, Saber enthusiasts. I am Nick Nitro, and I am the Lord of the Crucible. And today, we're going to be doing a little bit of armor work. So I'm working on my Mandalorian armor with this piece right here. So we're going to go ahead and change this piece, which I've already had from an old Ren Fair. And as you've seen in the last video that we did on this, I've already replaced the strapping, which today we have to remove that so we can do everything else. But I'm also working on some other pieces, and I'm going to give you a little update on that. And it's a bit of an update. So I'm working on my first shoulder piece, and I really didn't know how to go about it. So I ended up with a template like this one right here, which I bought on Etsy for a completely different design. But the reason why I bought it is I wanted this cut out here so I could experiment with it and see if I could make this work. Now, if you look on the actual lines of the template, it's supposed to be curved in and all of that. It wouldn't look anything like what I want, but it gave me a starting point. From there, I kind of came up with this, and this looks fairly close to my finished product, but it's very rough. And to see how everything fit together, I went ahead and created a leather prototype right here. And if you look closely, you'll see that one of these sides is longer than the other, sits higher, the notch is off center, but it's a much smaller notch than in the paper template, the first paper template. That's because I don't want it curving over as far. So when you bring this together, it'll curve just a little bit. So once I got everything evened out, this is my final template. And as you can see, it looks a lot more even. So as we go on, this is going to be what I'm working off of. And hopefully, I'll be able to get two of those matching, looking nice. But for right now, there are some changes I want to make to this. And a lot of it has to do with the way it fits. So if you can see here, there's actually where it overlaps. That really is not that comfortable. So let's go ahead and get this marked out where I want to change it. And I'm going to take this pocket off today. So to mark this, I'm actually using chalk. Because of that overlap, it goes on really weird. So I'm probably going to be taking off a good bit of this. Okay, so we'll work on that part in a moment, but right now, this collar is what I'm worried about. So we're going to shorten this back because this really impedes my range of motion. It gets in the way here. You see how it's all curved out? I don't want that. So I'm just going to draw that on here. I'm just freehanding this. There we go. That's good. It's not perfect, but it will give me a good starting point, and it's just a very simple little thing you can do. Let's get these straps off first so that they're not in the way. Now, the downside of this, I'm not starting from scratch. Downside is that there's already other holes and things that are in this piece that could affect the final product. There's a very real chance that I may get to a point and some of the stuff that was already on here may cause enough damage that I have to start over completely, which is fine. I'll consider it a learning process. I'm going to go ahead and use a razor knife to make this cut. I'm going to do it slowly. Just basically going to score it and just kind of cut deeper on each pass. Go ahead and drifting. That's all right. I'm drifting in a direction that's not going to matter much. All right. So that already looks like it's going to feel a whole lot better. Look at that. Okay. Before I get these sides, I think I'm going to go ahead and try and remove this pouch, because honestly, this pouch is really going to determine whether or not I have to start this all over from scratch. The good news is that although it sits tightly, it is not glued down. You can see I can lift that edge up, so that's really good. There we go. That pouch is off and pretty much no longer going to be used. So there's that. Still some thread to clean up, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let's try making some markings here. Like I said, I'm learning as I go. I mean, I picked up this fancy wing divider from frickin' Walmart. But the good news is that those points make really nice marks on leather, although I don't know how well you'll be able to see them. But I really just want to get an idea of where this is going to sit once I've got it cut. And this is pretty much just eyeballing everything, which, even in my opinion, is probably the worst approach for all of this. So why am I doing it that way? I have no idea. That's just kind of me, the way I do things. So yeah, that's about an inch worth of space I'm taking off from either side. Not a lot. Let's see if I can't make my cuts a little straighter by doing something a little simple. So we've got the groove in there. Okay, that's one. It's not too bad. Now, as I've been going along, I've been picking up little tools here and there, and basic razor knife seems to be working really well for these cuts. There's my groove. Let's go ahead and freehand this one. But when it comes to leather working, there are some things I'm learning that you probably want to pick up. And each of the tools that I end up using here, I'll go ahead and include a link to where I got them. Most of this is going to be right off of Amazon. I was thinking I was going to have to spend a lot of money on specialized tools and gear, and while there is some of that, you can find some pretty decent deals on Amazon just to get you started. I mean, if you're going to be doing a lot of this stuff, then it's like anything else. You're going to get what you pay for. Most of this stuff is probably only going to stay sharp long enough for maybe one project, maybe two. Got a little jagged section here. But that's where this little thing comes in. This is an edge-beveler. Okay, I was able to get my edges cleaned up, and this actually looks a lot better now. Beveling your edges takes practice, and I would not recommend learning on an already used piece of leather like I am. Yeah, fresh leather will probably work a lot better with that. But I got all that cleaned up, so let's go ahead and get the hardware put back on here and see how everything fits. But I'm already noticing some things. So let's see if I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. But let's get this on here. All right, we've got our straps reattached. But I'm noticing something odd here. When I put this on, things aren't looking quite right. I mean, it is fitting way better. But if you can get a look here, you'll notice that these don't line up. And it was that way before I made my modifications too, and I never really noticed it. Everything seems to be at odd angles. If I release the pressure here, bring everything, well, let's take all this out. And if we line up our edges, you'll notice that the buckles don't line up. They just don't line up at all. I noticed this earlier. This one is now lining up over here. That's because you can see I punched a second hole into the leather to adjust this alignment, but you see it's not lining up over here. So we're gonna have to create a different hole here to try and pull everything into alignment. Let's see if that fixes it. Like I said, there was a possibility that I was gonna have to scrap this and just start over from scratch. But even scrapping this, it's still a massive learning experience. And I might even be able to use this as a template once I've got everything worked out. Well, to punch a hole into leather, you either need one of these, which is a rotary hole punch. You can get these on Amazon for anywhere from $10 on up to $40. So let's see if we can't get a decent hole in here. Properly line that up. And then you give it a little twist to make certain the cut's gone all the way through. That is so close to the other hole. Let's see what we get here. That is so close to the original hole. I just hope it does not tear through. Okay. But it looks like it lines up a whole lot better there. Keep your edge lined up. That lines up. Let's give it a try. Well, that seems to fit a lot better. Look at that. Everything's lined up nice and clean. I'm a little concerned back here. I did not trim anything off of this back section here. So this is part of the original design, and it just kind of doesn't line up. But that's small. It shouldn't make that much of a difference. It really should not. So here we are. Now you notice everything is sitting way off to the side here from these original lines. That's okay for me. That is fine by me, because if you take a look at it, this thing was really skewed off to the side. I think he may have done that just to fit in the phone that I was using at the time, because it was off to the side like that instead of straight in. So we're going to try and fix that with the new piece that we're putting in. I don't know how we're going to cover up these other holes, but maybe once I get our stamping done, that'll mask some of this. And yes, I am going to stamp this. It's a very labor-intensive process. I'm hoping once I'm done that this is going to look so much better. So next video, we'll go ahead and cover a little bit of staining and hopefully stamping, and maybe, just maybe, I can get that to work out fairly decent. So, I am Nick Nitro, and our quiet guy today is Rocky. Here you go. You've been really good. And we will see you in the Crucible.